All right, so somebody suggested that I put my hood on so that I can figure out where my radiator support needs to go. And I'm kind of glad I did, because if you look right here, we got a big gap right here. This needs to come forwards a lot. And then if you look at this line here, it should be parallel. It shouldn't be at that angle right there. So the front end has to come down quite a bit, which should get these lines back straight. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to trim the radiator support some more. And probably trim these inner panels where that slot is there on the left. That's gonna have to be trimmed a certain amount on the left and the right. I mean, I've got, well, that's about a ½ inch of room, but that's not going to drop it far enough down. So I guess what I'll do is take these inner panels out. All right, I think I got my gaps on this side pretty straight. So I'm sure that this is basically where the front end needs to sit. So what we'll do is we'll figure out how to mount this thing. If I can find a point of reference that's the same on both sides of the truck, then I can measure up on each side, try to get it straight that way. And so I think this it's right height-wise on the driver's side, but it's sitting on the steering box. The passenger side's not sitting on anything, and it's looking low. All right, I got it close. My hood latch on this side doesn't want to operate right, so it's not going to latch in the proper spot. And my radiator support's still tweaked a little bit, but I put a piece of angle on either side to kind of have a place to clamp it to. And it's close. The fender on the passenger side looks like it needs to go out a little bit to match it with the hood line, which we're still fitting, trying to make it work. So I mean, once we get the radiator support established where it's got to go, then the rest of it will pretty much fall into place, I think. But the cab's probably got to come forwards a little bit, because it's not quite centered in the wheel well. You can't tell from this side because I'm too close to the shop wall. I do like the way my emergency brake and shifter came out. Somebody asked me what this is. more than likely it was jammed up on the transmission that will come in this truck, but more than likely this is a reverse lockout of some kind. I think it's cool if I can figure out a way to hook it up where it still raises up and down. I mean, it's not going to do anything, but if I could just maybe weld a little loop on there where it'll stay in and it still raise up and down, I think that would be pretty cool. Just to have that on there. I know it doesn't look like much is going on here, but a lot of thought and some fitting and, like Rat Rod Bob says, some design chair thinking, and we've got a lot of that going on, trying to figure out exactly how it's going to set up. I can't bolt the front end on in its entirety because there's so much stuff in the way. So I've got to get it sturdy enough to where it's not wobbling around, get the hood fitting right, and then if we need to slide it up a little bit, then we'll do that. We need to do all this before we fab up the body mounts, because we want, I mean, from this angle it looks, well, it just depends on what angle you're looking at, but it needs to come, the wheel needs to go back in the wheel opening towards the back of the truck some. So we get that worked out, and then we'll be ready to build some cab mounts. We got plenty of wiggle room either way with the bed, so that shouldn't be an issue. I mean, a couple of inches one way or another, it's not going to hurt anything, and we can make it work out. And so once we get that final placement done, then we'll figure out like where we need to trim the inner fenders and the rest of this inner structure that makes the front end all sturdy. And then it'll be pretty much rolling on. I mean, if you look at it, the floor, the toe board section fits pretty nice. We need a little hump in it. No big deal, just a little bit of clearance for the transmission, so that won't be anything to do. Then the piece, the footwell piece, that's pretty simple stuff. And I've got all the interior trim panels that goes in this thing. So before we put all that back in, we'll clean all the surface rust off and paint it all. There, I can't wait to see this thing going down the road with this view. And that's going to be cool. But put an electric wiper here, just going to run one. And it's going to be really, really cool. I'm really, really excited about it. So, y'all stay tuned and I'll show you as we go. Once, like I said, once I get the design part of it, I mean, it's on the frame square. I mean, as far as the same distance on one side to the other. The bed is square to the frame. I like the rear wheel placement, looks pretty good. The master cylinder and the clutch master mount, which here's I got a whole clutch set up for this transmission. So I'll have to make a bracket to mount this on to the pedal. And then I'm going to run a Hydro Boost. On my original pedal assembly, it bolted to the bell housing right there, and these two bolts bolted in the side of the transmission. On bosses like my parking brake on the other side there, so we're kind of looking at this assembly to see what's necessary and what's not necessary to use to make this thing work.